Hey folks, it's Andrew from Gemba Red, and today we are testing the PhosphorTech IR-Sense. It's a filter that you put over your camera so you can see more of the near-infrared light. And this was recommended by Dr. Roger Shahol in some recent MedCram YouTube videos. And with this filter, you could see where the infrared is in your lifestyle and decide how to improve it. And so at $30 each, do you really need to buy one of these filaments for yourself? And the answer is no, probably not, because it still doesn't tell you the spectrum or the intensity or the wavelengths that's coming through. It's just kind of giving you a yes or no if there is some near-infrared in your environment. And there is some kind of concept of relative brightness that you could say that you're getting more or less near-infrared. But overall, it's not very much of a functional tool for dosing your near-infrared light in your environment. And we already know the practical takeaways to use that same money to invest in incandescent bulbs or near-infrared LEDs or sit closer to a window or spend some more time outside. And so you don't need a $30 gadget to tell you to do those basic things, and you could spend that money on actually buying a case of incandescent bulbs that'll actually improve your environment. And so that's the experiment I did. I wanted to see how these images correlated to measurements on my spectroradiometer. And so I went to a park here in Connecticut. It's October 16th, so it's just the start of fall. And so if I aim my spectroradiometer right at the sun, I get 79 milliwatts per centimeter squared. And that covers the full spectrum all the way from blue and UV up into the near infrared, and does get cut off. So the real intensity might be a little bit higher because it cuts it off at 1100 nanometers. But pay attention to the spectrum where it kind of starts with the visible being the highest, and then it kind of gradually decreases as it goes into near infrared, as a broad spectrum incandescent source like the sun would do. But then I turned around and I faced the opposite direction of the sun, and I took the measurement from my spectrometer while it was shaded by my body. And so now I'm facing the opposite direction of the sun in the shade, and I'm facing some greenery like some grass and some trees. So now I'm only getting 7 milliwatts per centimeter squared, which is decent. You know, if you spend 15, 20 minutes, an hour outside in the shade, that's a decent dose of light therapy. And the interesting thing is, if we look closely at this spectrum, we do see there's almost like a new spike up of near infrared, especially from around 720 up to 920 nanometers, that range is almost like boosted because that's what's being reflected from the grass and the greenery around me. And so when you're sitting in the shade on a hot day, you're getting proportionally more near infrared coming towards you, even though the overall total is much lower. So, you know, the overall is much better if you're in direct sunlight, obviously, but proportionally, you're getting more near infrared when you're in the shade and you're surrounded by greenery. And so that is one practical thing that I can learn from using this film, but overall it's not necessary to get a $30 thing plus shipping and then play around with it and take a bunch of measurements. As much as an engineer like myself, we love tons of measurements, we love tons of data, but we also have to have in mind what's the practical outcome. And here's the thing when you're designing an experiment, if you already know the practical outcome, then just do the outcome. There's no need to do the experiment, because otherwise you're wasting company time and resources doing the experiment when you already know the right thing to do. But in this case, if you watch Dr. Rogers' video and my video with testing this out, you don't need to buy it for yourself. You can spend that money on a case of incandescent bulbs, on some near-infrared LED security camera lights, sitting closer to windows or even opening those windows to let in unfiltered light, or just generally spending more time outside in the sun, even in the mornings, the evenings, in the shade, in the cloudy days, in the fall, in the winter, as much as you can. There's always a good benefit to being outside in the direct sunlight or even in the shade. So that's my test for today. Thanks for tuning in.